Hey, Olive, Arlo, and Frank. Grandpa coming to you from the living room in Jacksonville Beach. And while I still have some voice, I'm going to do the last story from the Children's Book of Heroes. And this has been a lot of fun going through this with you. We saw all kinds of heroes. And this one is I think about a little girl. I haven't read through it first. Her name is Tashira, and the name of it is Tashira's Turn. The small daily examples of others that can turn any one of us into a hero. One day, Tashira ran outside for recess and found her mother on the edge of the schoolyard with a bucket of soap and water. She was scrubbing a wall where someone had painted some ugly words and pictures. She scrubbed as hard as she could, and here's Tashira's mom and Tashira. Mama, Tashira called. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm just helping your teachers keep the school clean, her mother said. It looks like hard work, said Tashira. It's nothing at all, her mother smiled. It's just my turn to help, you see. The school bell rang. Tashira's teacher looked out the door and waved. Tashira's mom waved back and went back to scrubbing the wall. All the ugly words and pictures ran to the ground where they turned into puddles of silver and gold. So it's graffiti. Uh-oh, the Popo are in this now. Things just got real. The next morning, Tashira was walking past her church, and she heard voices singing in the sky. She looked straight up and saw her teacher on the roof. Hello, Mrs. Jenkins, Tashira called. What are you doing way up there? We're helping our friend Reverend Wilburn, her teacher called down. The steeple needs a fresh coat of paint. That's very brave of you to climb so high, Tashira shouted. It's not so very high, her teacher sang out. Besides, it's our turn to help today. So there's a theme here, that it's my turn to help. Reverend Wilburn stepped out of the church door and waved to his friends on the roof. Tashira's teacher waved her paintbrush back, and it looked as if she were painting the clouds in the sky. So she was up there like, yeah. The next morning, Tashira was skipping rope when she saw Reverend Wilburn with a basket under his arm. Hello, Reverend Wilburn, she called. Where are you going with that great big basket? I'm taking dinner to Officer Hamlet and his family, Reverend Wilson smiled. Mrs. Hamlet just had a new baby. Everyone in the church is taking turns sending it a meal. Doesn't that smell good? He lifted the basket's covers so Tashira could peek inside. So it's each person that Tashira, like, the mother was there the first day, and then the teacher came in secondarily, would be the way to say it. Then the teacher was there painting the roof, and the reverend was there secondarily. Now today, the reverend is taking stuff to the cop, to Officer Hamlet, not the Prince of Denmark. It's very kind of you to cook such a nice Juicy turkey, she said. Oh, it's just my turn to help, that's all, said Reverend Wilburn. He carried his basket up some steps and knocked 4 times. Officer Hamlet opened the door and smiled and said, "To be or not to be?" Now, he didn't say that, but that is the question. Everyone on the street knew Officer Hamlet because he wore such a big, shiny badge. Inside the house, his brand new baby cried, and his smile grew wider than ever. And here's Officer Hamlet. Let's see, there he is, with the kids around him. The next afternoon, Tashira went to the park to play. But the swings were still and the slides were empty because a gang of bad boys stood on the corner, scaring the little children away. Then Officer Hamlet came walking along with his big shiny badge. When the bad boys saw him coming, they ran away. Officer Hamlet stood on the corner with his arms folded across his chest, watching them go. And before long, all the little children came out to play. "Thank you for being so brave, Officer Hamlet," called Tashira. "We were scared to play until you came." "Oh, it's nothing," smiled Officer Hamlet. "It's just my turn to help, that's all." He stood on the corner all day long, making the playground safe until the mothers called the children home to their suppers. And even when the sun went down and the shadows faded into dusk, Officer Hamlet stood under a streetlight, keeping the neighborhood safe. So he's working like 24/7. The very next morning, Tashira was riding her bike when she heard a small voice crying. She looked and saw black smoke pouring out of an open window, so there must be a fire. "Someone needs help," she told herself. She jumped off her bike and ran to the window. The smoke stung her eyes, and she wanted to turn away, but she glimpsed a little boy inside. "I want my mommy," he sobbed. "I'll take you to her," Tashira told him. She reached through the window and pulled him out. "Keisha's still there," he cried, pointing to the house. Tashira looked back through the window. The smoke was so thick now she could not see inside. And trust me, houses, when they catch on fire, you just get out. I've been in one, and I won't tell you the story now. It was when I was a police officer in the 17th District, and we tried to go in to see if anybody was in the house, but fortunately nobody was in there. It turned out it was an abandoned house, and we didn't know that when we rolled up. Somebody said, "Oh, there's somebody in there," but there wasn't. It was just somebody being evil. Let's put it that way. The smoke was so thick now she could not see inside. "Wait right here," she said. "We need more help." Tashira ran down the street. A moment later, she was back with Officer Hamlet running beside her. Officer Hamlet disappeared into the smoke. Tashira waited and waited. He was gone an awfully long time. When he finally burst out of the house, he had a little girl in his arms. Now the big fire engines roared down the street with their sirens screaming. The firemen jumped off the trucks. They dashed into the house with long hoses. The children's mother came running. "Oh, my babies," she cried. Reverend Wilburn came running. "Tashira, you're a hero." Tashira's teacher came running. "She's a hero," she shouted. "Tashira's a hero." A big crowd gathered around. Tashira's own mother was there to give her a big hug, too. "You're a hero, Tashira," they all shouted. Tashira just shook her head and smiled. "I'm not a hero," she said. "It was just my turn to help, that's all." But everyone said she was a hero, all the same. And here she is. Peace out. We launched the balloons, didn't we?